We need to build a wall. We need to build a wall. We need to build a big, beautiful wall. We need to build a wall. We need to build a wall. We need to build a big, beautiful wall. We need to build a wall. We need to build a wall. We need to build a big, beautiful wall. We need to build a wall. We need to build a wall. We need to build a big, beautiful wall.
On her way to work one morning, down the path along the lake, a tender-hearted woman saw a poor, half-frozen snake. His pretty colored skin had been all frosted with the dew. Poor thing, she cried, I'll take you in, and I'll take care of you.
We need to build a wall. We need to build a wall. We need to build a big, beautiful wall. We need to build a wall. We need to build a wall. We need to build a big, beautiful wall. We need to build a wall. We need to build a wall. We need to build a big, beautiful wall. We need to build a wall. We need to build a wall. We need to build a big, beautiful wall.
But if I hadn't brought you in by now, oh heaven, you would have died. She stroked his pretty skin again and kissed him and held him tight. But instead of saying thank you, that snake gave her a vicious bite.
Good morning, my beauties and bees. Welcome to another delightful episode of Live from the Hive. It is Saturday morning. It is 9:37, and we are going with this weak coffee because I didn't have enough coffee left to make a full pot, so I made a 1-cup pot, but it still turned out very weak. It was only 1 scoop. Usually I put a scoop and a half in my coffee. So I got coffee on the way, though. So I ordered some coffee when I found out that was happening. But it's not here yet. I think they just tried to call, actually. But, yeah, Trump's back. That's why I wanted to remind everybody that this was the same shtick that he put on last time. That he put on in 2016 about the freaking wall. The alleged border crisis and all this nonsense. I'm glad you guys like it, though. Yeah, this little awareness and humor mixed together. Now, yeah, I had to order some coffee. I'm gonna order some. I have to do a grocery run. Ember, I can't run like this. And I was up way too late playing Skyrim last night. So I went and hung out with Ben and played trivia. We go over there. It's on Twitch is where he streams. Played trivia last night until about midnight-ish. Went to go to bed, but I had too much of a bellyache, so I went and played some Skyrim. Ended up playing Skyrim. And they kept me questing until like 4 a.m. So 4:30, I think it was when I went to bed. So I'm running on a little tiny bit of sleep and a little tiny bit of caffeine right now. Hopefully, that's my DoorDasher outside right now. Eugenia is approaching with your order. I ordered from a local place like I usually do. When I have to order my coffee. Well, sometimes I order like Starbucks or something. Depends on the season. Did you make the what? Did you make that one, Bree? The effing kitty? Yeah, but it's not. Well, it's like I do like a hybrid of Photoshop and AI. So I'll make an AI art and then I Photoshop an animated picture of my face onto it. In this case, I kitty version of my face. Yeah, and Skyrim belongs to the Nords. I heard that quite a bit last night. Stormcloaks and yeah, I had to actually started a new journey. I created a I'm going with a Wood Elf Archer. I've never done the Wood Elf Archer before. I've always done the Khajiit, like, assassin style archer. So this is going to be a little bit of a different, little bit of a different feel. Yeah, I made the Tetris one. Yeah, I made the Tetris video. The song, someone had mixed the song, I think, on that one, at least part of it, and I just sped it up to give him a goofy voice. And I didn't put like a whole ton of effort. I don't want to take too much credit for it, but yeah, just cut together images and stuff. You were well behaved for a change last night, Steph. Well, that's good. I'm glad you were well behaved. All right, I'm gonna go get my coffee because we got some Cryptic Corner around the corner, and it was looking pretty fun. It's gonna be a fun cryptid romp. So yeah, Elf Archer is the easy way to do sneaky damage. Yeah, the Elf Archer I'm doing a lot better with the Elf Archer than I did with this other character that I made, which was this summoner character, like a necromancer. But that one is necromancers are harder to make than an archer. Archer point and click. Necromancer, you gotta summon the right amount of the right kind of enemies to deal with the right cave or whatever. Yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna get my coffee. I will see you guys in Cryptic Corner. Okay. Hello, my beauties and bees, and welcome to another episode of Cryptic Corner, where we explore the unexplained, the supernatural, the paranormal and hidden, the mysterious, the alien, the accursed, and the forbidden. And we're going back to our roots here on Cryptic Corner today and just jumping right into some cryptozoology. Yes, cryptozoology is the route that we're taking. So, I've been leaning into doing some other, like, aliens and Ouija boards and things like that. So, I figured I needed to get back to my roots. And there's no better way to do that, in my opinion, than by venturing, down under and finding yourself a Tananula tiger. So that's what we're doing today. I don't know if you all are familiar with this creature or not. Sometimes it's a thylacine, like a Tasmanian wolf. Sometimes it's a Thylacoleo, the marsupial lion. And sometimes it's something else altogether. But we're going to explore this crazy creature in depth and detail with a channel that's called Tananula Tiger. We're going to do this like a 3-part series for starters. He's got a whole library of stuff on this, but this was a site. These are sightings in the 1890s. So we'll start with part 1 here. Hold on, let me get this set up here. All right. Let me know how the audio is, by the way.
G'day, it's Jamie, and welcome to Tantanoola Tigers. Today, I'm reading a couple of old newspaper reports about the Tantanoola tiger, so we'll get into it. This first article was published in Mount Gambier's Border Watch on Wednesday, the 9th of November, 1892. Reports are current of a tiger being at large at German Creek. An Aboriginal man reports having seen a large black and yellow striped beast that almost turned him white with fear. And several other residents say they have come across the footprints of an animal much larger than that of any cat tribe known to the...
Well, yeah, he's an Aussie, so do we got any Aussie translators in the audience that can translate this for us? I put the transcript or whatever down here, the closed caption.
The district. If such a distinguished visitor is really at German Creek, the puzzle is to imagine where he could have come from. We have not heard of anyone who has lost a tiger, and it is not likely that one would be at large without some notice being taken of the occurrence. Is the story another edition of the far-famed Bunyip? The end. Okay, so this next article was also published in Mount Gambier's Border Watch on Wednesday, the 26th of April, 1893, titled Undesirable Visitors. A report as to a more alarming visitor comes from near Tantanoola. It is said that the neighbourhood is in a state of terror.
I like the... It gave us best to figure out what Tantanoola was. It said Tanzanoola. Yeah.
Through the presence of a tiger or leopard in the Mount Burr and Bluff country. A Mr. Taylor and his wife are reported to have seen it. They were driving along a road and stopped to allow it to cross in front of them. They describe it as being a little larger than a kangaroo dog, covered with spots or stripes, and having a long tail dragging on the ground. What are said to be other evidences of the beast of prey are not...
So, that could have been a thylacine, right? I mean, at this time, we're talking the 1890s. So, thylacine would have still been around. There would have still been Tasmanian wolves. I think maybe they saw a Tasmanian wolf. I know that the Tasmanian wolf... I guess Tasmanian wolves were extinct on the mainland way, way a long time before that. But, I keep thinking like, oh, they're talking about being in Tasmania, but this Tananoola's in Australia, so, or in the mainland, and actually in the southeast. Most Tasmanian tiger sightings are from the Queensland. Not New South Wales.
Wanting. Several residents have had some of their sheep killed and partly eaten. And we have been informed that a bullock belonging to a Mr. R. Long has been injured by having the flesh eaten off its back. In our issue over...
That might have been a parrot, because the Kia will do that. That's in New Zealand, though. But a Kia, it's horrifying. They jump on the back of a sheep, and they like rip the back open to get fat deposits. It's horrifying.
November 9th, we mentioned that tracks of the strange animal had been seen in the locality, and that the residents were uneasy on account of certain disquieting rumours. There is talk of bringing the matter before the Benara District Council and asking them to take action. The end. Okay, so this next article was published in the Newcastle Morning Herald and Miners Advocate on Saturday the 6th of May, 1893, titled, Supposed to be a Tiger. Considerable excitement prevails in the Tantanoola district near Mount Gambier owing to the depredations of an animal which is believed from its footprints to be a full-grown tiger. The animal has killed a bullock. It is believed...
So the last report didn't say it killed the bull, it just did it nibble on its back. Did it kill a different one now? And yeah, that's be scary for have a tiger on the loose. So I think there is some speculation that maybe it's an escaped circus animal.
It is the beast which was lost when a cub 13 years ago from St. Leon's Circus when travelling between Mount Gambier and Millicent. There is plenty...
St. Leon's Circus escaped tiger. Well, that sounds like that squares the way, you'd think, but nope.
...of scrubbing country to give him shelter, and a hunting party to track the beast is being organised. The governor will probably join. The end. Okay, so this next article was published in the South Australian Register on Wednesday, the 17th of May, 1893, titled The Tantanilla Tiger, an Armed Search Party. Mount Gambier, March...
I love this guy's accent, Al. It's so funny. He sounds exactly like... He sounds so Australian, so Australian, like he's almost like doing a character, but he's like really like, this is legit.
16. A large party of armed men with an Aboriginal tracker organised by Mr. John Livingston will make a search for the alleged tiger tomorrow near German Creek. Several gentlemen will go from here and will be joined at the locality by others. They hope to put the question of the beast's existence or non-existence to rest. The end. Okay, so this next article was published in Sydney's Evening News on Wednesday the 31st of May 1893. Mr. C. Mackenzie offers £50 for the Tantanilla tiger if taken alive and £25 if dead. A wallaby hunter named Boardman yesterday came across a dead wallaby, freshly killed in a patch of stringy bark, half eaten. Beside it were footprints like those of an enormous cat, and he believes it was the tiger's work. The end.
And the tiger would probably be all totally taken off guard by a wallaby, though. Could you imagine? The wallaby starts jumping like they do, and actual tiger, like a tiger. Yeah, today I learned Australia had its own Beast of Gévaudan. Exactly, that's what this is. It's like a 19th century. It's like a cross between the Ghosts in the Darkness, the Lions of Tsavo, and the Beast of Gévaudan. This epic about hunting tigers in the outback. Would have been a wild time to be in Australia, I tell you that.
Okay, so this next article was published in the Adelaide Observer on Saturday the 17th of June, 1893, titled The Tantanilla Tiger Again. A Mount Gambier resident, in a letter to a friend in Adelaide, says, the Tantanilla tiger has again been seen, but since its last appearance, it must have grown very quickly, as when seen the other day, it was as large as a horse, and had changed colour to a dusky brown.
Not if it got the drop on the wallaby. Well, I mean, what if it I'm just thinking because a kangaroo, a wallaby maybe not so much, but like a kangaroo, it might decide it wants to fight that tiger. Kangaroos are gym bros about wanting to fight. They kill dogs, even big dogs. A kangaroo can. I'm not saying they could take a tiger, but just imagine a tiger coming up on a big red kangaroo or big gray kangaroo. And the kangaroo spins around and does its puffed up thing, and yeah. I love the kookaburra in the background. Yeah, at least it's actually accurate here. Usually they put that sound in like the jungle. Kangaroo used to be kangaroo boxing used to be like a real sport. Like guys would get in the ring with them, and the kangaroos would fight the people.
Evidently to suit the dull times and the dull weather which we are now prevailing. The end. Okay, so this next article was published in Mount Gambier's Border Watch on Wednesday, the 26th of July, 1893. This Tantanilla tiger, or whatever it is that kills and mutilates stock in the
This change in Illinois or whatever it is. Where did it get Illinois from that? That's crazy. Listen.
This Tantanilla tiger, or whatever it is that kills and mutilates stock in the German Creek and Tantanilla district, is not dead, nor has the prospective fear of another and much more thorough hunt for it persuaded it to emigrate, for traces of it are still found near German Creek and adjacent neighbourhood.
So I'm just totally distracted by the by the narrator breaking this down, and the AI trying to keep it narrated. Keep it written. Let's see. It's probably a koala in its Halloween costume. With stripes maybe.
Recently, the carcasses of several sheep have been found, mutilated near Kula, in a manner unusual for a wild dog. And the residents there are convinced that, whether the...
What's a manner unusual for a wild dog, though? Wild dogs are pretty opportunistic, though. The best way to decide it's a large predator of any type is bust open the corpse at the belly. It's the kill method that's different with dogs from felines. Now, a tiger is going to... Sorry, Godzilla. Just to use you as an example. A tiger gets its jaws around the mouth of its prey like this. Big cats they suffocate. They suffocate their prey. So that's what they do. They bam, like this, hold on to the neck with their claws, right? Until it suffocates. That's how you can kill a big cat. It's a big cat kill. Now, a canid, while some of them might hang on to the face, right? They definitely hang on to the face if they can get a chance to, while others tend to start nipping at the hindquarter. They're going for a there's a nerve under the tail in tetrapods, right? If they break between the anus and the tailbone, if they hit that, if they can slice that nerve, the animal will bleed out. So that's a way you can tell the difference between a big cat attack and a canid attack. Generally, there won't be a lot of tearing at the underside, and there will be actually less face damage when it comes to a big cat. Now, obviously there's other predators as well, but like a crocodilian or something, you'd be really clear that they had torn it up, because they would do a death roll and scatter it to pieces. Now, when it comes to the Tantanilla tiger, let's find out how they describe, because so far, thank you Godzilla for your participation, because so far we've heard of them jumping on the back of a cow, not killing it, but but eating back fat, which is it's a very marsupial thing to do, I guess is the way to describe it. Not to say a cat won't jump on the back; they definitely will, especially on a large prey item like cattle. A tiger can jump on the back and kind of grab it and crawl up the back, get to the throat, and do their thing. They can do a throat bite too. I guess I should clarify on that. They'll also do a throat bite, which does basically the same thing. It's either here or here. It doesn't matter. Particularly which. Both options are viable. I believe the muzzle bite is more favored by panthers. But a neck bite is definitely viable and something that's well documented in tigers and in all big cats. So they do do a neck bite as well. Wow. Walla Bonga Longi Inapi. Those are some Australian names. If big cats had thumbs, they'd strangle you with piano wire. Yeah, cats just love to kill. They have that killer instinct. If you hear hoofbeats, you think horses, not unicorns. Agreed. If I smell horse shit and hear no hoofbeats, think Pegasus. You guys.
Animal that does the mischief, be a tiger or not, it is not a dog. They hold, and we may presume they are better able to judge as to that than any individual who may sit and sneer in his office. The same strange animal is at large in the rough country here. Probably as soon as the weather and nature of the country permits, another hunt will be organised. The end. Okay, so this next article was published in Victoria's Hamilton Spectator on Saturday the 4th of August 1894, titled The Tantanoola Tiger. Our Mount Gambier correspondent writes, the alleged reappearance of the famous Tantanoola tiger has been the subject of a good deal of discussion.
Tangelo Otaga. The Tangelo Otaga. That sounds like a cool species, too. This is my new coffee. It's from a place called Crazy Cakes, and they do cakes, but they also do coffee, and this one is tiramisu, and it's so good.
During the past few days, a party of mounted police and station hands went out on Friday for the purpose of bringing in the skin of the brute. But although they scoured the locality in which he is supposed to have made his latest appearance for the greater part of 3 days, they failed to find the slightest trace of his presence. Mr. Uphill, who brought the news of the last appearance of the tiger, is, so far as I know, a thoroughly reliable young man. But his account of his recent adventure is singularly deficient in important details, and suggests that suffering from a severe scare, he allowed his imagination to run riot and magnified what may, after all, prove only to be a large dog in the voracious denizen of the Bengalese forest. He says that the creature...
Bengalese forest. I don't know if I know that. Is it talking about the Sindaban? I thought maybe it was a place in Australia called the Bengalese Forest.
was chasing after a mob of cattle, and when he was within 100 yards of it,
you definitely would see a tiger in the Bengalese forest, the original, but because that's where Bengal tigers come from, the Sindaban.
laid down, putting its head on its forepaws, and remained in that position for a short time, afterwards cantering back into the scrub. Strange enough, although so close to it, he failed to notice whether or not it was striped, and all that he could say about it was that it was of a dark tan colour, something like a lioness. Nevertheless, as he had seen the tigers in the zoo, he had no hesitation in declaring this to be a genuine Bengal tiger. Everyone who is supposed to have seen the tiger has given a totally different account of its colour.
Yeah, we're going to see that to be the trend here. It's like the Beast de Gévaudan. Absolutely, especially in the variety of ways that it's described, the different colors and sizes and stripes and spots and...
and general appearance, and it may therefore be supposed that a whole menagerie of wild beasts has broken loose somewhere in the district, and the wonder is that any boundary riders and bushmen have been left alive to give further descriptions of the various animals. The end. Okay, so this article was published in Sydney's The Daily Telegraph on Wednesday, 8th of August, 1894, titled Notes of the Day. A Mount Gambier youth has galloped far with erect hair and distended eyes to tell of the tiger again. He suddenly came across the monster, which, of course, had a full-grown sheep in its mouth at the time. In all these one-man observations of the varying beasts and strange animals of the destructive type.
So now it's gotten big enough to have a sheep in its mouth. When we originally remember, it couldn't take down cattle, but now it's got a sheep in its mouth. Genghis Khan DNA.
Right? They are seen at their worst. The end. Okay, so this next article was published in Adelaide's The Express and Telegraph on Thursday, the 22nd of August, 1895, titled The Tantanoola Tiger.
So this thing's been at large for since 1892, so we've covered 3 years so far in this first video.
Yeah. At last, the Tantanoola mystery has been solved. For many months, the residents of the southeast have been much exercised in spirit over the vagaries of some member of the genus Carnivora, which has generally been accepted as a tiger. The tiger has become famous. All of Australia has heard of the animal, and no doubt the entire civilised world will be interested in learning its ultimate fate. It has, in fact, been the cause of much jealousy. Their Victorian neighbours were not long behind the Mount Gambier people in laying claim to a share of the beast's attention, and at one time hopes were entertained in the Quorn district that the distinction had been conferred on that locality by its presence. Many sceptics have declared,
yeah, they're both trying to move in on getting some of them tourist dollars for their beasts.
Their belief that there was no such bosom, and some have been ungenerous as to ascribe the appearance of the strange striped quadruped entirely to the influence of locally made spirits. However, all these doubts have been set to rest. Eastern residents have now the satisfaction of knowing that they have not cried wolf too often, and that the imputations against their veracity and sobriety were quite uncalled for. It was no mythical creature which has been preying on the herds and scaring the inhabitants, but also it was not a tiger. The invader has been shot, and its mortal remains have been brought into Mount Gambier, and now...
Alright, they shot it. Look at that beautiful specimen there. 19th century taxidermy always makes me laugh. There was a learning curve.
Now appears that it was a wolf. The animal, which was shot on Mr. Gardner's outstation yesterday morning, is fawn-coloured, with a dark back, and is described as exceptionally large. It measures 4 feet 6 inches from the head to the tip of the tail. The skin is to be stuffed, and no doubt the ultimate fate of this interesting member of the Vulpine tribe will be that it will be exhibited for the benefit of a...
No, Vulpine is the fox tribe, if you want to get into technicalities. It'd be the canine tribe, not the Vulpine tribe. Now, yeah, we'll let him finish here on this video, but I have some thoughts.
...in crowds as the Tantanoola tiger. Its extinction will cause relief to the local sheep owners, but to the southeastern journalists, the loss will almost be irreparable. The tiger has instigated nearly as many interesting and imaginative paragraphs as the once popular Bunyip, and the enterprising...
So, you get a good look at this, because I don't think this is a wolf. And I'll go into that in a minute.
...impressment of Mount Gambier and the vicinity will now have to seek some fresh source of information. The end. Okay, so this is the final article. This was published in Western Australia's Coolgardie Mining Review on Saturday the 4th of January 1896, titled Things in General. The Tantanoola tiger, which was shot some time ago near Adelaide and turned out at the inquest to be a dingo, has again been seen by a man who knows it is a tiger, and he has a picture of one in his house. The Tantanoola tiger, the Bunyip and the wild white man will probably go down to the next generation together. The end. This is really interesting, this. I love this story, the Tantanoola tiger. It's probably Australia's most famous big cat thylacine, thylacoleo, or whatever you want to call it, reports. At last...
So there are some other phantom big cats from Australia that are more cat-like than this one, actually. There's the Blue Mountain Panther, the Gippsland Phantom Cat, the Grampians Puma, which is maybe the same phenomena. It's in the same area. The Sunshine Coast big cat, and then the Tantanula tiger. So there are a few, but
lasted over 6 years at least, and they end up. A lot of people seeing this creature, and some said it had stripes, some said it was spots, some said it was fawn, some said it was huge, some said it was small. No one's got like the same sighting of this creature, whatever it was. At one point, they shot a large pig that was eating carcasses that they thought it was it, and then eventually a bloke shot what he thought was the Tantanula tiger, and it turned out to be an Assyrian wolf, like from Russia, which is really...
Okay, so Assyria is not Russia, and Assyrian wolves don't exist. There's no such thing as an Assyrian wolf. That's where you see what you'll see. I give you all a couple minutes to Google Assyrian wolf, and the only thing that you will pull up is Tantanula tiger, because Assyrian wolves are not a subspecies. That it would be an Indian wolf or European wolf, depending on what area of the Assyrian region that you were in. But there are wolves around the Caspian Sea, traditionally, but they're not a special subspecies called Assyrian wolves. What I believe, looking at the specimen, here, let me go back to what he says.
But the really weird thing is, after they shot it and they had it stuffed, and it's in the Tantanula Hotel now on display, people who saw the stuffed creature all said this was not the creature that they saw, which is really interesting because, like, what is it? And then, like, so we've got tiger.
It's either in Ring, like you were saying, Beast de Gévaudan. That's it right there. They killed something and mounted it, and the people who saw it said, nope, that's not it. I think it was it looks like it was maybe a dingo crossed with a large dog breed.
Tigers, thylacines, thylacoleas, and wolves running around South Australia. It's really weird. And virtually every tiger, thylacoleo sighting afterwards, they're all known as Tantanula tigers. Whenever someone saw something, they called it a Tantanula tiger. Okay, that's it for me. I'll get back to you all next time. Bye.
Alright, so that was the first video. Before I move too far into that, we're going to look at this little article here from 2019. And then we'll watch the second video. The grisly mystery of the murderous Tantanula tiger. Locals thought a wild beast was skinning their livestock alive, but it turns out the truth was much more terrifying. In November 1891, in the Rough Country, about 30 kilometers northwest of Mount Gambier, in South Australia, a mysterious animal was on the prowl. Aboriginal shearers working on grazier John Cameron's property, German Creek, came running to him one night, scared by a strange animal that didn't belong in Australia. This beast, they said, had so frightened their dogs that the mutts were cowering in the hut. The graziers took no notice until the next night when it happened again. This time, John Cameron found tracks, and while they looked like that of a dog, were far larger, measuring around 10 centimeters across. 9 months later, also at German Creek, sheep station manager John Livingston was told by an Aborigine of a strange animal stalking the property. Then in December of 1892, at the nearby town of Tantanula, Walter Taylor and his wife were driving home. This is the case that he just told us about, in their horse and buggy, and they saw the strange animal slinking across the road. Well, I'm not going to recap all the stories he just told, so you see the same information there. I'm just trying to get to the part about... Here we go. After many unsuccessful attempts to shoot and poison the beast, he finally got it by mixing a paste of flour, sugar, and phosphorus and pouring it over a dead sheep. The boar, he said, which was 2.7 meters long from snout to tail, had a sharp 9-inch tusk. He sent these tusks of the boar to the Express and Telegraph newspaper along with a letter describing how he'd killed the monster. Now, that was the boar that they killed, right? They killed a pig. I feel quite satisfied, he wrote, in that killing this pig, I have killed the tiger that was doing so much damage to my sheep and weak cattle in the district of Tantanoola. The newspaper reckoned he was right. It appears as though Mr. Matheson has achieved the killing of the Tantanoola tiger, one of the writers concluded, except that he hadn't. Something continued killing sheep and leaving big paw prints. Because a pig doesn't leave paw prints. That should have been one of the first clues that, hey, we're looking for something that's leaving paw prints. Probably a pig. That's not how tracking works. In August 1894, Livingston's 17-year-old nephew, Donald Smith, was riding in German Creek property near Lake Bonny when he noticed a flock of sheep in distress. Investigating, he saw at a distance of a few yards a large, strange animal walking firmly towards the ti trees with a full-grown sheep struggling in its mouth. Okay, that's the way we heard about that one. To his uncles. The inspector in charge believes the claim dispatched 2 mounted constable and his black tracker to search for the tiger. In 1895, there was sightings in the Tantanoola tiger every month or so. Wow, so it got really, really busy. And it started changing colors. Whatever the beast whatever it was, the beast was singling out sheep and attacking them. The men crept closer until they were 90 meters away as they watched the beast knock a sheep over and sat over on its haunches. Seizing the opportunity, Donovan raised his Winchester rifle, took steady aim, and fired. The beast was hit, but rather than drop, it bolted, running away as fast as it could go, with Donovan and Watson chasing after it. After more than 180 meters, the creature tumbled, fell to the earth, and didn't get up. Approaching cautiously, Donovan and Taylor found the animal dying. The bullet had entered through its right shoulder blade, piercing the heart and exiting through the ribs on the left side. What they saw dead in front of them wasn't a tiger. It looked like a male dog, but no breed of dog they'd ever seen before. Once they find out it's a dog, they gotta try to make it fancy. Just before 2 p.m., Donovan arrived. Everyone speculated it was too big to be a dingo. Maybe a dingo crossbred with a large dog. That's Miss Bumblebee's take. Mr. Mark and several others who had been to Germany and other parts of Europe declared it was neither. They agreed it was a European wolf. Another gent suggested a Syrian wolf, but there's no such thing as a Syrian wolf. European wolf would be alright, but it doesn't look like a European wolf. Its hair's too short. It looks like a dingo. It has dingo hair. It's part dingo. Whatever it is, it's definitely part dingo. Just my humble opinion. By Thursday night, Thomas Donovan had received 8 or 9 telegrams from asking take it down. Is there anybody gonna? Okay. In those first few days after he'd shot the wolf, some who'd been the most vocal believers in a beast roaming the countryside now didn't believe that this was the creature. John Livingston wasn't satisfied. It was the same animal described by so many witnesses. Mr. Unger, a witness who followed the creature, was absolutely sure it wasn't the same animal. So too was Mr. Houston, who who'd seen it just a few weeks ago in Duck Hole Paddock. However, Mr. McClay, who'd also spotted it in the area, reckoned it was the same beast, as did young Donald Smith. So, sounds like maybe there was two beasts. The Border Watch sided with the doubters. However frightened one might be at it, seems conceivable that the idea of the tiger should come to mind, their correspondent wrote. That said, the paper couldn't see how it couldn't be the creature. It is highly improbable that two such animals as a wolf and a tiger should be roaming in the same locality in this district. Yeah, because this is a dingo, a big dingo, probably with domestic dog stock in it. Unless, of course, what some witness was actually a thylacine, the Tasmanian tiger, believed extinct on the mainland. At that time it was. Most descriptions more closely match the marsupial wolf. That's what I'm thinking too. Back then, though, conservation centered on how the wolf had wound up in South Australian countryside. One theory was that it had survived a shipwreck on the rugged coastline. Another offered that it was offered by the Adelaide Zoo director was that it was a crossbred wolf that had escaped from a Victorian zoo where several such specimens had once been kept. Okay. Next few years, the Taranula tiger would be seen repeatedly in the district, so it kept being sighted. So let's move on to video 2. All right, there's part 1 down. Video, they're not consistent in their length. This one's only 4 minutes, so let's go for it.
G'day, it's Jamie, and welcome to Tantanoola Tigers. Today, I'm reading a few newspaper articles on the Tantanoola tiger again. This is part 2, so we'll get into it. This first newspaper article was published in the Millicent Times on Saturday, the 10th of July, 1897, titled, "The Tiger Once Again." The Tantanoola tiger, after a long vacation, has returned to business, this time in the neighbourhood of Port Macdonald. Mr. Robert Carrison of the locality last week reported the presence of a large, strange animal which had been prowling and roaring in the vicinity of Port Macdonald in a very determined fashion.
A tiger roar is kind of hard to mistake, but...
The beast was seen by Mrs. Walter Carrison and, according to specifications, was as large as a Newfoundland dog, was striped and had a tail like a cat. Later news was to the effect that the tiger had been roaming the neighbourhood of Tantanoola on the lookout for old friends. But as most of the tiger enthusiasts of the district have left, his reception will not be very warm. And on this subject, the tiger, it is curious that the faculty of sighting of these queer phenomena appears to run in families. One of the strongest former supporters of the Tantanoola animal was a trooper who saw the bunyip at Robe years ago, while among later tigers...
The bunyip of what? Yeah, so there's always a way to steal this stuff out. The more extranatural phenomena that people experience, the less likely I am to believe that their experiences exist outside of their own mind, right? Once you start seeing multiple different cryptids, and once you're encountering Bigfoot and you're encountering Mothman, and you're also communing with spirits on your Ouija board, you become less and less credible. The more and more claims you stack onto it, less credible that it's happening outside your own brain. Not that I'm accusing you of lying, but at that point it's like, how many of these things can happen to one person?
Sears is a family which had possession of a full-flavoured ghost at Port Macdonald about 17 years back. The end. Okay, so this final article was published in South Australia's The Millicent Times on Saturday the 11th of May 1901, titled "The Tiger." The Tantanoola tiger, like the mythical bunyip, is adverse.
Why does this tiger look like a dog in some pictures? I think it is a dog. It's a as far as I can tell, the animal that was shot was dingo dog hybrid. Looks like they called it a wolf, but it doesn't look like a wolf to me. It doesn't have the fur texture and coloration of a wolf, as far as I'm concerned. But Bethesda game design. Just talking about Bethesda.
First to passing out of existence or imagination, says the Southeast Star on May 7th. An animal believed to be the tiger was shot some years ago, but residents in the Millicent district are disconcerted at the report that it was seen last week at Mount Hope by a local resident, Mr. S. Haynes, who saw it in uncertain light of evening. The following day,
An uncertain light, that's a running theme for these types of sightings.
Mrs. Brown and Wright, who live in that locality, also saw the animal at a distance of about 60 yards, but they did not make a close investigation and the tiger made for the rangers. Later, an armed party made a search and traced footprints to the mouth of the cave, near the entrance of which was found the carcass of a sheep. Residents are reported to be still on the lookout for the animal. There has been some talk of a party to capture this tiger and present him to the Duke of York with the condition that the Duke should visit Millicent. Also, one or two
Trying to get the Duke of York to visit Millicent by telling him there's a tiger there? More tourism bucks.
Politicians have an eye on the animal, with a view to capture it as an advertisement for Parliament. Men have got into Parliament for much less. Taking it all around, the tiger has struck a dangerous time of year to come into the scene. The end. Well, that's real interesting. So, in part one that I did of the Tantanoola tiger, the first report was in 1892, and this last one is in 1901. So that's 9 years that people have been seeing the Tantanoola tiger, and whether there was a wolf that was shot that they thought was a Tantanoola tiger. So whether it's was a wolf.
Yeah, I mean, once you have an established phenomena, right, people are gonna start to associate or draw connections between. Oh, I heard something in the bush. Must have been the Tantanoola tiger. Oh, I kind of something killed my sheep. Must have been the Tantanoola tiger. Yeah.
Wolf, or an actual Bengal tiger type creature, or a thylacine, or a thylacolea, who knows? But it's been getting around for nearly 10 years in the South Australia area, which is really, really interesting. Okay, that's it for me. I'll get back to you all next time. Bye.
All right. And then we got one more to go. All right. Tell us what you got, Jamie.
G'day, it's Jamie, and welcome to Tantanoola Tigers. Today, I'm reading an old newspaper report about a man who actually saw the Tantanoola tiger, and this is his eyewitness account. So we'll get into it. This was published in Adelaide's...
The Shiba Inu, that's what you all think it looks like. They needed the Duke to face the hazards. Yeah. Stuff. That's punny. Candle yellow tiger. Looks like the meme dog, yeah.
Chronicle on Thursday, the 26th of May, 1932. Titled, Man Who Saw the Tiger. New light on 37 years old mystery. Former tutor's convincing story. By Veritas. Did the Tantanoola tiger ever exist outside the imagination of nerve-shocked settlers? Here is the story of a man who saw it, honest, outright and convincing. He occupies a high and honourable position, and his veracity is above reproach.
So first of all, nobody's veracity is above reproach. Anybody can lie under the right circumstances. That's just the truth. We're humans.
1899. I was acting as a tutor on a station near the shores of Lake Eliza. between Robe and Penola. The ranges in that part are wild in the extreme, ideal for bush ranging. The country is of limestone formation, with numerous surface caves and subterranean caverns, many of the latter of vast extent. There are some places where the sound of a horse's hoofs and the rumble of a buggy wheel reverberate beneath one like distant thunder, till they die away in the hollow distances beneath. There is an authentic story of a fox terrier dog entering a surface cave and losing its way, remaining underground for several days, and finally emerging at the surface over a mile away in a weak and famished condition. While thus lost, its feeble barking could be heard at intervals from many points wide apart, showing the extent and...
That's so sad. There was a dog stuck down there barking for help, and people could hear it, but they couldn't get it out. And then, at least it got out, though.
Ramifications of these underground passages. Creatures of the night. My two pupils, being delicate, lessons were restricted to a couple of hours in the morning. The afternoons and evenings were my own to do as I liked with. Being myself young and an enthusiastic shot, I roamed the country daily with gun or rifle and explored the surrounding lakes.
With a cannon? Wait, what? What are you running around with a cannon for? That's incredibly dangerous.
Thoroughly. On more than one occasion, I amused myself by watching the entrance to a natural cave or tunnel, which ran into the hillside, securely hidden behind a rock, keeping absolute silence as the sun sank and the shades of night crept on. One would see rabbits, wombats, porcupines and foxes emerge at intervals from the same exit.
There's porcupines down there? Why? Wow. When did they get porcupines in Australia? Foxes and rabbits I know were invasive. I didn't know invasive porcupines were a thing. Let me see. Australian porcupine. Maybe they mean the echidna. Bet they mean an echidna. That would make more sense. You think they mean echidna? But, okay.
And go off about their various business. One more proof of the many diverging branches of these curious and fascinating limestone formations. I had been in the district about 6 or 8 months when the disconcerting rumours began to circulate, at first vague and at long intervals, later oftener and with more detail, to the effect that some large animal was abroad and had been seen by various people, chiefly belated travellers returning from country shows, sales and such like gathering points. Reign of terror. The first people who were reputed to have seen the creature gave very scanty descriptions of its appearance, and even these did not always agree.
Yeah, they're very inconsistent. Gray, yellow, candle yellow, whatever that means.
As more appearances were reported, these vague and conflicting descriptions crystallised through various stages to a wolf, a bear, and lastly a tiger. The hardy dweller in the Australian bush is not unusually afflicted with nerves, and the rumoured tiger did not at first cause any real apprehension. It was naturally the subject of many an argument around the fireside or on the track, but was invariably dismissed in the end as being either a hoax or else an hallucination caused by drink. The tiger seen through the whiskey bottle.
What the hell were they drinking in Australia in the 1890s? It makes you hallucinate.
Came in time a standing joke. Suddenly, however, to our bewilderment, our sober, unimaginative neighbours, who lived a few miles away, declared that they too had seen the tiger. Their perturbation was too obviously genuine to allow of doubt. Indeed, so thoroughly scared were they left the job of fencing they were engaged in near the spot where they had seen the animal, and nothing would induce them to go near the place for some time. Then commenced a reign of terror in the neighbourhood. Children were forbidden to wander out of sight of their
When you
homes.
say reign of terror, is it killing livestock? Is that what we're talking about?
No one ventured out after dark. On first taking up my duties at the station, I was allotted to my employers a
It's the staff. If you want to move here with the tigers prowling around, be my guest. They will get you.
comfortable room in their house. Later, however, owing to the habit I had then indulged in of smoking in bed and keeping late hours,
You think they're drinking Foster's there, Robert? In the 1890s, maybe. I don't know when that brewery opened. Down under. Bathtub Wallaby whiskey. Ooh, that'll do it.
I was offered and accepted quarters in an old wooden building called by the family the Whirly. The shed was the original home of the settlers before their present commodious stone house was built, and stood at the entrance to a gully leading back into the ranges, about a quarter of a mile from the new house. The Whirly was divided into 2 rooms by a thin matchboard partition about 6 feet high, and the part I slept in was sealed with bags sewn together. The small door and window gave light and ingress to this part. The other part was empty, save for some old small bags in the corner and a few old gardening tools. It had rickety double doors, which did not fit closely to the ground. In fact, at one place where the earth floor was worn away, there was a space of about 18 inches, or rather more, under the door. Once installed
This is turned into a Airbnb review.
in these quarters, it mattered not to anyone what hours I returned from duck shooting, and I was free to smoke all night if I so desired. Keep your dog at home. Belonging to the owner of the station was a handsome collie dog named Mac. Mac was a great favourite with everyone, and was so gentle and intelligent that he was given the run of the place, never being chained up at night as the other dogs were. He had a great aversion to be out in the rain, and many a night when it came on wet, Mac would creep into the vacant half of the Whirly and throw himself down on the potato sacks in the corner. The rattling of the rickety double doors as the old dog squeezed under would wake me. At a word from me, he would thump the floor with his tail and settle down to sleep. About this time,
Okay.
a German
So it's explaining how the dog acts when it comes in there, because I imagine the beast is going to come in there next.
neighbour of ours had some of his sheep destroyed by dogs and made a considerable noise about it. One morning, Mac appeared with a note attached to his collar. Keep your dog at home or he'll be shot. We were all much astonished that Mac should have thus gone away at night, but inasmuch as the gentlest and most behaved dogs have been known to kill sheep when in bad company by night, we took the hint. Henceforth, our pet was securely chained up in a sheltered corner behind the calf pens. His owner personally saw to this the last thing at night. One evening at bedtime, as it was dark and rainy, and the ground around the cow yards was very slushy, I offered to chain up Mac on my way to bed in the Whirly, and thus save the owner the bother of putting on his heavy boots and overcoat. This job duly accomplished, I went to bed to sleep. Seized the tiger. An hour or two later, I was wakened by the violent rattling of the double doors leading into the farther position of the shed. The rain had ceased, and the night was still very clear.
That's not your dog. This is like the dog that licks your palm under the bed kind of story.
My first waking thought was that Mac was forcing his way in, as was his custom on wet nights. Next, I was struck by the rattling being so much louder and more prolonged than usual, as if the animal had been too large to get in the opening easily. Nor did he, when once in the shed, go straight to his corner on the bags, but paced stealthily around and around the room. On full consciousness returning, I remembered having chained up the dog on my way to bed. Still, I suspected nothing, but concluded that he had slipped his head out of the collar and got loose. The recollection of the threatening letter received a few days previously flashed into my mind, and being warmly attached to the dog, I jumped out of bed and going outside, opened the doors leading into the part of the shed he was in and called him, intending to chain him up again more securely.
Uh-oh.
To my amazement, instead of the collie coming to me with a wagging tail, a great, long, low-hung beast flashed past me, almost brushing against my legs, bounded up the gully in the starlight, and disappeared in the darkness of the range. Utterly astonished at the incomprehensible behaviour of
Doom, doom, doom.
what I thought to be my favourite, I went to the calf pens, where I found Mac asleep and on his chain. Returning in the daze in my bed in the whirly, I, for the first time, became conscious of a strong, unpleasant odour. It was not until after racking my brains for some time that I finally recalled where I had smelled that.
It's Aussie, Dr. Mordecai. Aussie English. You gotta think crocodile hunter.
Peculiar smell before. The cages of the carnivora at the zoo. For the remainder of my stay in these parts, a matter of several months,
Carnivorans are especially famously musky.
I slept with a loaded rifle by my bedside, but nothing more did I see or hear of my nocturnal visitor. A year or so after leaving the southeast, I read in the press that a huge beast, supposed by some to have been a wolf, and by others to have been a cross between a wolf and a large dog, had been shot. Whether or not this was the strange creature that paid me a visit, I cannot say. Although, to the best of my belief, and bear in mind I only had a fleeting glimpse of it, the animal I saw had much more the shape and gait of a leopard than a dog or a wolf. No more appearances of the tiger being reported, gradually interest died away. And when later a sheep stealer's lair was discovered and many people inclined to the belief that the tiger story was purposely set afoot by thieves as a blind to hide their villainous dealings, still, when anyone...
Like a Scooby-Doo style mystery. They pretended to be the Tantanoola tiger so that they could steal sheep in the wild settlements.
One scoffs too loudly, the picture comes back to me of myself standing at the open door of the whirly, staring at a great long sinuous form, disappearing with panther-like bounds into the wild and rugged ranges beyond one starlight night long ago. The end. Wow, that is super interesting. So this guy had a real close encounter with the Tantanoola tiger, and he said that like the wolf that was shot, it didn't seem to look like that.
That doesn't look like a wolf to me. Does that look like a wolf to you guys? That does not look like a wolf. To me, it looks like it's at least part dingo. Maybe a part dingo, part wolf. I imagine they can breed. You're glad Max survived? Yeah, having a break into the room next door.
What he got a glimpse of, but he said it was more the shape and the gait of a leopard, and it had a great long sinuous form, and it disappeared with panther-like bounds into the wild. So I'd love to know whether he saw like a big cat of some descript, or a thylacine or a thylacoleo. But really interesting stuff. Okay, that's it for me. I'll get back to you all next time. Bye.
All right, so this has been the Tantanoola tiger. This channel doesn't have very many subscribers. I'm definitely going to subscribe because I enjoyed responding to him. He seems like a mellow dude, so did enjoy engaging with this content. He does have other stories too, that are actually about escaped lions, escaped tigers, and stuff like that on here. It's mostly about the Tantanoola tiger, though. The Tasmanian devil, the Gippsland tiger, Chugum Pumbaa. Yeah, so we'll come back and revisit this channel again, I'm sure. I really did enjoy this one. What do you think? What do you think the Tantanoola tiger was? Do you think it was like a escaped big cat on the loose somebody discreetly took care of or eventually died off? Do you think it was this hybrid animal that was shot in the area, the dingo dog that's on display. Or is it a Tasmanian wolf or a Tasmanian tiger, Thylacoleo? Let me know in the comments down below. I'm really interested to know what you guys think. Appreciate you all for sticking with me through this morning's episode of Cryptic Corner. And please remember to be kind, take care, and we will see you next time. Alright, now Live from the Hive people, do not go anywhere. Do not go anywhere. You always leave when I end the first segment. This is just the first segment. We don't need to go anywhere. Don't go. Don't go. There's more show to come, and I will be right back with you as we do. You're not going to want to miss this, I feel. It's bad. It's a bad one. It's going to have you face palming so hard. So hard. Okay. I will see you guys over there, though.
I heard the Lord say this on December 9th. He explained the mother of the homeland phrase. He said, this is the homeland. It's here. It's the United States. He's talking about the United States. He said, it's someone who is going to take this country in hand the way a mother would. Someone who is going to take charge of freedom and seeing that it happens the way she wants it to. Now, the Lord asked me to address the she language. I believe he's using this mother of the homeland. Metaphorically speaking, he's not necessarily saying that he's talking about a female, though he could be. I don't know. But he also said Mothman, in the original word. So I think it could go either way. Then I heard later, Mother A. And when I went to type it down, autocorrect changed it. And it changed it to Mothra, which is a big, giant moth creature from the Godzilla movies. Those old stories and movies and stuff. And I was going to change it. And then the Holy Spirit told me not to. That's what he said to me to get me to write down Mothra. Maybe he knew I wouldn't write it down, if he said it straight up. But then as soon as I saw Mothra written down, I heard the Lord say this, a giant among the land, yet stowed away for a time in a capsule. It's kind of similar to what the Mothra creature in the stories was. A giant among the land, yet stowed away for a time in a capsule, waiting to hatch, waiting to show up in strength, having to take down a giant lizard to reach its goal. So this is obviously metaphor, okay? Obviously metaphor. But also, in this story, I went and I looked it up. Wikipedia says about Mothra, unlike other Toho monsters, Mothra is a largely heroic character, having been variously portrayed as a protector of her own island culture. So I did not know that when I heard this word, but I went and looked it up, and it agrees with this word that I'm hearing, that this is going to be a mother-like figure interested in protecting its homeland, protecting its people. So who is God talking about here? So a couple quick notes I need to say before I finish. Number one is answering this question. Is the Lord talking about 2024? He did not specifically say 2024 in this word. I would assume that is what he's talking about since that's what we're leading up to. Yet, I'm going to say it in that context. I didn't hear 2024. That's an assumption of mine. So please take that in mind. The other thing is, this word actually seems to connect very specifically with one of the candidates. I'm not going to say who that is. Why? Because God did not ask me to make that connection. But just doing a little Googling for yourself, you may be able to find what it is I'm talking about. But there's a very specific connecting point to one of the current candidates. That's all I'm going to say there, is that may be the person he's talking about. It may not. He didn't specifically say who it was.
Have you ever found yourself wondering about the fate of the human race? Do you wonder, who are we really, and where are we headed? For better or worse, we are here on Earth, surrounded by a hostile environment. Every day we face massive problems: fire, floods, tornadoes, volcanoes, disease. We see suffering and senseless death. What has any God done to help? Where has faith and prayer truly intervened to save us from these problems? In truth, we have no reason to believe in any God. We have no reason to accept that these disasters are the will of any divine being. We have to face the reality that no imaginary friend is coming to save us. But we are not alone. We have each other. We possess rationality. We have access to science and knowledge. We are capable of questioning authority and to think critically about our situation. This channel is here to push back against the unjustified belief in the unseen and unfalsifiable, to fight bad ideas and to unite all humanity against the real threats to our survival, ignorance and superstition. Together, we can strive to be one planet, one species, humanity united. My name is Mark Reed, and I believe that together we can build a better world.
I've been muted this whole time? Ah! No. All right. From the top. Well, actually, let me praise Mark. I was praising Mark's editing there. So, doing the same praise that you guys were in the side chat about Mark's little trailer video thing. Should be good now. Should be good now. All right. So, yeah, I just wanted to give Mark some props. He was worried it sounded too cheesy, but I think it sounds lit. All right. We're gonna do the start of the show from the top, though. Okay. Let me take a drink, actually. Here we go. Welcome, my beauties and bees, to another episode of Sci-Fails. And we do have some big Sci-Fails today. Whenever anybody calls themselves the Indiana Jones of anything, you know that they're probably full of shit, right? You probably know they're full of it, right? They don't know what they're talking about. I need more coffee. You're absolutely right, Ember. Mark killed it over there in the Upside Down. Yeah, down there with the Tananula Tiger. I think it's because of the Tananula Tiger that Mark's able to make those videos like that. If it wasn't for that tiger, he wouldn't be able to. But yeah, anybody who calls themselves the Indiana Jones of this place or that place, or this culture or that culture, you can almost guarantee that they're a charlatan, and that they are not practicing good archaeology. And today's subject is going to be something along those lines. Sumami, you're just in time if you wanted to learn about Bosnia's alleged rich heritage. This is a press release from July 2006. We're just going to read this through. And this will launch us into the topic of today. Bosnia's Rich Heritage by Anthony Harding. And remember, 2006, Bosnia was still, to some extent they still are, but still recovering from some pretty horrific war situations. So, yeah, finding some national identity was important. We'll dig into that as well. Stories about hidden pyramids in deepest Bosnia being investigated by hobby archaeologist Indiana Jones of the Balkans on the 15th of April may appeal to those from whom the dry facts of archaeology hold little attraction. But they also do little to assist the cause of heritage protection in that beautiful but unlucky country. Professional archaeologists in the former Yugoslavia and in international organizations such as the European Association of Archaeologists have known about these claims for some time, and various scientific reports are available in the public domain. In most countries of Europe, those with wacky theories about hidden mysteries on presumed archaeological sites are free to propound them, but not to undertake excavation, which by its very nature destroys much of what it uncovers, let alone excavations by those unqualified in terms of training and experience. According to your report, there are indeed archaeological sites on the hill in question. Illyrian, an Iron Age location, Roman and medieval. Yet the work underway or planned makes no mention of what steps will be taken to safeguard them, and other potential sites are yet undiscovered from inappropriate earth moving or other investigations. The situation of professional heritage management in Bosnia-Herzegovina is, since the Bosnian War, in a poor state, with a tiny number of people trying to do what it can to protect their rich heritage from looting and unmonitored or unauthorized development. It adds insult to injury when rich outsiders can come in and spend large sums pursuing their absurd theories. The construction of a colossal pyramid, so large that it dwarfs even the Egyptian and Mesoamerican 12,000 years ago, it's ways that most other countries would never countenance. Instead of devoting their cash to the preservation of the endangered genuine sites and monuments in which Bosnia Herzegovina abound. So, that's my disclaimer about the Bosnian pyramids first. This was before this even blew up, right? They're already, as soon as there was a press release, people were already responding that this is BS and and it's bad for actual historic and prehistoric sites. And anyway, this guy is going to try to convince us that it's 30,000 years old now, and it gets older as you go along through the narrative. It starts off at 12,000 or some 6,000 to 12,000. Now it's up to 30,000, and I think there's like 4 or 5 pyramids now. But we'll get into it. Let's do this. Dude, Wikipedia doesn't make claims. Wikipedia is a hub for resources with, gives you a short description of the topic and then links you to actual documentation and research. So you don't debunk Wikipedia. If you think you've debunked Wikipedia, you go down there to the citation that's saying that this is from, and you say, this is, and you report it, you say this is wrong. And that's how you debunk Wikipedia. If you didn't do that, then you didn't debunk Wikipedia. If you did, okay, we're only 30 seconds in. Of course, it's muted. I'm having one of those mornings. Started with the no coffee, guys. Started with the no coffee, and it's just rolling from there.
Pyramid of the Sun is rumored to. The Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun is rumored to be 30,000 years old. Its captivating tale has been circulating the internet since 2005. This means that Bosnian pyramids would not only predate the iconic Egyptian ones, but also, according to Dr. Samos Managic, they're twice.
Yeah, it's this Sam Manas, how you say his last name again? I haven't pulled up. Osmanagic. Yeah.
As their size. These bold claims have stirred up a fair share of controversy in various conferences and forums. But I don't fully trust the internet, especially Wikipedia, that I've already disproven several claims on. So it was only logical for me to pack my things and drive to Bosnia.
So Yeah, I was saying I was defending Wikipedia. I think Wikipedia is an open source, is awesome. It gives you primary and secondary citations about what it's talking about. Yeah, let me show you guys with Samir's own Wikipedia article how we do this. So Sam is a best known for promoting his pseudo-archaeology centered on Bosnia, related to the so-called Bosnian pyramids, right? And here you have a bibliography of his writing. He's into a lot of will. So, like if we go in here, there's even citations that use the Wayback Machine. Look at that. So you can go and look and see citation 3, a Bosnian pyramid scheme. Citation 3 is listed right there for this section right there. So if we click on that, this is what you'd have to debunk. Oh, I guess that's, yeah, see, that's a citation I guess we'd have to report, wouldn't we? Or do I have to click on the Wayback Machine? No, it's just telling me what the Wayback Machine is. So I guess the link is broke. Let's see, we saw citation 2 on there as well. Let's see what that one brings us to. So, I guess this is about his books, right? So, citation 2 tells us his bibliography information. Some of these aren't in English, though, if you look right here. So that's not going to tell us too much. But, yeah, I've got a lot of articles on the dude, though. And here's those caves that he's going to be talking about. Let's get back to the video.
Prejudice of mainstream historians drives us to believe that humanity was still primitive 10,000 years ago. Yet, there are countless structures in the ancient world that we lack the knowledge to build today. Since 2000,
there's no what structures in the ancient world do we lack the knowledge to build today? I don't know what you're talking about. You're gonna have to elaborate.
5. There's been a dispute regarding whether the Bosnian pyramid is a natural formation or a structure. As soon as Dr. Osmanagic
No, there's not a dispute about that. It's pretty well understood that this is a geological formation.
published his discovery, Zahi Hawass, the infamous corrupt Egyptologist, did everything in his power to stop the excavations. Geologists and Egyptologists petitioned to stop the Bosnian pyramid from being publicly announced.
You mean the actual people who study the field said, hey, this is bull? And said, hey, don't publish on this. Don't fund don't fund this excavation. These people are literally just carving a pyramid out of a mountain.
What were these so afraid of? On the other hand, over 50 esteemed archaeologists and professors from Harvard, Egypt, and even Russia came forward defending the discovery of the pyramid. But
we'll get to his citations, don't worry. We'll get to Sam's citations and how some of them don't even exist as real people. He just like made up characters to support his basically his bid for more money to build a pyramid out of a hill.
Most of them were silenced. They were the likes of Professor of Archaeology from Harvard, Ezra Zibrol.
It would be my very strong opinion that the research that is being done here should be allowed to be continued in its most unfettered form.
Egyptologist Nabil.
That was a clip used to try to promote the say, hey, yeah, see the government needs to fund this dig, right? So what they do is they go, hey, I'm doing this archaeological dig on this hillside in Bosnia, and I need the government to help me because they're trying to shut down my dig. Can you give me a soundbite and say that you support me digging here? Sure. I think that this research is important, and you support this dig, thinking it's in good faith, right?
Pyramid is something stupendous. It is above imagination. We have the pyramids of Egypt, and we think that, the pyramids belong to us. They don't belong to you.
And even astrophysicists
Well, I do think the pyramids belong to Egypt. Yeah, I think that the British Museum should give all the stuff back, and they should be able to house it in Egypt, and if they want to. Yeah, it's glacial. Of course, it's glacial stuff.
Like Dr. Paul Laviolette. Every one of these experts who visited the site confirmed this was indeed a real pyramid, but many others, who didn't even visit Bosnia, claimed the opposite. I decided to follow the example of good guys and visit myself, and after 2 days of driving through forests and unknown roads,
guys who support my theories are good guys. Guys who reject my theories are bad guys.
Roads through Montenegro, we finally saw the pyramid, and it was enormous. Before we entered the miles of underground tunnels, we decided.
So, think about it, you fly out here and you see this hill. It's it's not even anything like a pyramid, right? It's a big dirt hill. It's not even. It even has like a back end with more dirt. Like it's not flat. Like it's just sticking up out of a plane or something like you'd expect a pyramid. Generally, pyramids have like a settlement plane around them. Some kind of what do they call it? There's a word for it. It's not gallery. It might be gallery. It might be gallery, like a flat area around the outside of a pyramid. This doesn't have that. It's like it would just be built into the hillside. That's what they're claiming here, but it actually is the hillside. So
decided to climb to the top and look for clues that would tell us whether it was a legit ancient pyramid or just a hill. You can see all 4 sides are angled toward the ground to the same degree. This was the first thing I wanted to check. Many would say that this is a natural formation, but the Pyramid of the Sun in Teotihuacan, Mexico, looked like an ordinary hill before it was excavated. All you need to do.
Well, so about the actual Pyramid of the Sun, right? It was buried in historic time. It was buried by the locals to protect it after colonization destroyed their base, because this is like a religious place for them, and colonization destroyed their way of life. They tried to hide their sacred places, and they buried it. That's that's just what happens. It's not like, oh, it was always a big hill and then we found a pyramid underneath it and we discovered it that way. No, it was the Pyramid of the Sun existed. It was a religious center. It was a cultural center. Colonization happened. Disease happened. The area was basically wiped out of a lot of the population. So the people that lived here and were subject to the colonization of the Spanish, they buried their pyramid, right? They actually actively buried it. And the Catholics, because it was something to do with the way the Catholic Church would respect burials, right? So that's why they buried it. They wouldn't dig up burial mounds and things like that. So they buried the pyramid. Well, it's weird, but yeah, that checks out with the Catholic Church.
Do is look at the before and after pictures. If you're wondering how enormous structures like that can become buried, we must remember that we have proof of how cataclysmic floods occur in cycles at the abrupt end.
Of course, cataclysmic floods is what buried the pyramid, not what I just explained, which we historically have records of them doing. No, it was the flood, and why would by extension of that, why would they bury this Bosnian pyramid? There's a reason. We know a reason why they would bury the Pyramid of the Sun. Why would they bury The Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun.
Of ice ages due to glaciers melting. The last flood was the one documented in the Bible and across a dozen cultures all around the world. Most likely, it was...
No, the flood that was documented in the Bible is not real, dude. It's pretend. It's just, it is not documented around the world. There's cultures that never even, that were already up and going that never experienced the flood in the Bible.
Was the one that buried these pyramids under the soil. Mainstream archaeology honors four main conditions before declaring something as a legitimate man-made pyramid like the ones in Egypt, Mexico, and Peru. Very often, buried pyramids are dismissed as hills or natural formations like mountains. The four criteria that must be met to officially recognize a buried pyramid as legitimate.
Well, you're dismissing earth mounds. Earth mounds are still perfectly acceptable as a structure created by ancient peoples. And the fact that this guy's trying to insist that this is a pyramid, not an earth mound, you could actually probably sell a lot of people on it being an earth mound than it actually being a pyramid, especially because of the mines, but we'll get to those in a minute.
Number 1. Geometry. The form of the Bosnian pyramid is undoubtedly a square pyramid, equilateral triangle.
There's not even level. It's not even on a level surface. Like one side's elevation is a lot higher than the others. Part of another hill bleeds into this hill, so it's not the same height or even this particular angle that they keep showing it at. There's a reason why they only show it at this angle.
Angular sides that converge into an apex. We climbed to the top and explored all sides, and we even saw the corner where two sides of the pyramid met. This discovery later allowed Dr. Osmanagic's team to determine the construction materials of the pyramid. Number 2. Science of construction. By excavating the surface, Dr. Osmanagic and
those are not man-made. Those are shale layers.
His team found artificially made concrete blocks and sent them to a third-party laboratory that dated these blocks to 32,000 years ago. Luckily, I've spent a few years studying civil engineering, and concrete has something we call compressive strength, which basically is
So does shale.
The hardness of the material. The normal concrete we use in residential buildings has a hardness of 35 megapascals, and the one found in this pyramid ranges from 2 to almost 4 times harder than this. Of course, with time, concrete cures and becomes harder, but
so maybe it's not concrete, maybe it's sedimentary rock. Ooh, with inclusions too. Look at that.
Not to this extent. On the other hand, modern engineers have recently developed ultra...
Yeah, you guys knew that this was coming, that he was going to be like a young earth creationist that believes the Bible, right? Oh. Let's see, what did Steph say up here? Glaciation in the Balkans has been studied for over 130 years, and a classic glacial landscape attracted some of Europe's most eminent pioneer scholars of early glacial research, right? Yeah, the Balkans are like the place where they started studying glaciations at. What's weird is there are tons of cool archaeological sites and finds in Bosnia, but it isn't this imaginary pyramid. Exactly, that's the problem for sure, Sumami. They're taking away from stuff they should actually be proud of. Irish Russ, yeah. I wonder how old the pyramids really are. They don't seem to explain that. We can do a Age of the Pyramid thing sometime. My mailman is dropping off linen merch hoodie this very second. Cool. I need to get some merch again. I had merch a while ago, but I didn't like it, so I took it down. Might start using my AI for merch. Those are alien sandwiches, says Aunt Jer. I don't understand why there's this weird, like, competing with layman archaeology. Like, people want their ancestors to be cooler than other people's ancestors, but won't learn about the sweet ass. history of their own area, group, nationality. Everybody alive now has ancestors who were part of something great, right? Where they managed to survive and pass on their genes. So absolutely be proud of your history, no matter where you're from. History of their own, yeah, okay. I've read many articles about glaciation that explains precisely how structures like the Bosnian pyramid are shaped. This kind of nonsense drives me nuts, and the age of the pyramid is older. If he's Bosnian, he could be a fundamentalist Muslim. I don't think they're telling the truth. Well, he's from somewhere in Europe because he drives to Bosnia. You should have buggy themed merch. Yeah.
Pro hyper.
Would you guys buy merch if I put it back up? I could do some bug stuff. Yeah, let me know if you're interested in that. I just don't want to waste time designing it because I can design it myself, but let this guy talk for a second.
Performance concrete that is twice as hard as the material used in the Bosnian pyramid. This advancement suggests to some that while the ancient builders were skilled, it's not accurate to claim they were more technologically advanced than contemporary engineers. But I say perhaps we might be looking at the wrong properties of concrete. Actually, from a civil engineering point of view, the hardness of the concrete is not that important. If we want a building to remain functional for millennia, what is important is how...
So this guy's a civil engineer is why he thinks he knows better than the archaeologists. So we'll keep that in mind.
How much water the concrete absorbs, because that defines the lifespan of the material. Some of the better, widespread concrete we currently use in construction has a 5% water absorption rate, which means every winter it gets damaged little by little because the water inside it freezes and causes it to deform and crack. The lower the percentage of water absorption, the better the concrete and the more years it will last. The concrete found in the Bosnian pyramid is 30,000 years old, and it has a water absorption rate of just 1%.
It's almost like it's not concrete at all because it doesn't have the properties of concrete that you just described. It's almost like this is sedimentary rock with inclusions. It's almost like you're looking at shale.
This is something we too have achieved, but it is so expensive to do, we don't usually do it in many buildings. Our modern concrete lasts around 200 years, and this one in the Bosnian pyramid has lasted 150 times longer. The third condition for a pyramid to be a pyramid is...
How do you know that... never mind. I was going to say, how do you know that concrete that we make can't last that long? Because we don't have 30,000-year-old concrete. We don't have 10,000-year-old concrete. As far as I'm aware, we don't have 5,000-year-old concrete. So, yeah. We'll just leave that at that.
For it to be geographically aligned to the north. This means one of its sides to be perpendicular to the north. All confirmed Egyptian, Peruvian, and Chinese pyramids are oriented toward the north. So far, the Egyptian pyramid had the lowest error in its orientation, being 0 degrees in just 2 minutes. And now, the Bosnian pyramid, with 0 degrees, 0 minutes, and just 12 seconds, is the most precise orientation.
It doesn't have a square side though. Look at it. Look at it. Yeah, one of its sides can face north. It doesn't matter. It's not a squared side. This side bulges. Look at that. There's a road going over it.
We've ever seen toward the north. And if you're...
Look, there's was this a step over here? Is it a step to the pyramid? Is it a giant step? What are you talking about, guy?
Wondering why all pyramids are situated toward the north, I explained how to make a pyramid at home and harness the power of Earth's electromagnetic field in my How to Make an Organ Pyramid video. All the pyramids found across...
You know the secret to Roman concrete was that they made it with seawater? That was the big secret. That there's salt in there. That there's sea salt in it. Who would have thought? Yeah, Romans invented concrete as far as I know. I don't know when though. That's why I was only willing to reel it back to 5,000 years ago. I know it was probably within the last 3,000 years. So, they're gonna make some claims about the Egyptian pyramids here. This should be fun. Look at solar powered. Got a hydroelectric down below.
The globe are near a river or underground water. This remains the same for the Bosnian pyramid. Near Visoko in Bosnia, they found not one, but 3 pyramids, and the distances between the 3 formed an equilateral triangle. Underneath...
Wait, what? Hold on.
Groundwater. This remains the same for the Bosnian pyramid. Near Visoko in Bosnia, they found not one, but 3 pyramids.
Okay, here we go. So when you say equilateral triangle, are you going from a peak? It doesn't seem like these are going to the peak on this one. The Pyramid of the Dragon. But it seems like its peak would be down here, right? Am I wrong? The Pyramid of the Moon looks more like an actual pyramid on this one, though.
And the distances between the 3 formed an equilateral triangle. Underneath all of these pyramids was a large network of underground waters. 4. Underground tunnels and passageways. These further confirm that the
You mean medieval gold mines?
pyramid is an edifice built by men just like in Egypt. We have tunnels underneath the Bosnian one. They are spanning for miles under and around the pyramid. And I'll show you the inside because we entered with an experienced guide.
Hello everyone, welcome. My name is Lamia.
Our guide Lemia has been with the excavation from the start, and luckily, she ran us through all the details.
And Lemia's gonna spin some BS.
In the first and second layer of cloud-green blocks, we found fossilized leaves, which is organic material. We carefully sent it for radiocarbonic analysis on many institutes in Germany, Sweden, and Poland, and we got products back that those fossilized leaves were around 29,200 plus minus 400 years old. So this is scientifically proven age of the pyramid, minimum age of the pyramid, which makes it one of the oldest pyramids in the whole world. Every pyramidal complex comes...
It's not a pyramid, though. It's just a hill with some old mines in it, and that they've excavated out, and then they've made new tunnels too that didn't even have any mines, that were just tunnels that they carved. They carved their own pyramid features.
Underground tunnels. Tunnels were made to be entrances to these pyramidal structures, so that's why we were on a search for the entrances to these underground tunnels, and to this day we found 7 of them, but this one behind me is the main one. So, I hope that you will enjoy this tour. Just so you know, there are some low parts in the tunnel, so that's why we wear these headlets, but nothing will fall on your head. You can completely relax and enjoy this tour as much as you can see. Even though we are under the ground, we don't have any ventilation systems because we don't need them at all. Here, air flows completely naturally, so no matter how far away we are from the entrance, we always have fresh and clean air. And just so you know, air quality...
Now, the tunnel Ravne, I have some information pulled up on that. That was... Yeah. Tell me, because here's the mapping of it, right? The natural tunnels, the ones that actually existed before. They've dug out more stuff now since then. But does this look like it's built underneath a rectangular pyramid, or does this look like it's built like they were mining for some sort of resource that's down at the end of all these little offshoots? What do you think? Yeah, here's their... You can see what they've excavated here. The material through which the tunnel was dug is clearly of natural origin, despite insistence of some pseudo-archaeological enthusiasts that it is synthetic. The geological map of Visco identifies the terrain as Miocene conglomerates, Lasva series conglomerates. It is possible, however, that given the lack of details on the geological map, that these conglomerates are covered in places by an ancient alluvial terrace at a height of 55 to 60 meters above the recent Bosnian alluvium at 420 meters. That is not shown on the map. So essentially saying, yes, this is not man-made, but let's continue on.
The tunnels is way better compared to the outside, and that was because of huge amount of negative violence.
In the tunnels, Lemia, our guide.
Oh, goodness.
And also, air quality in the tunnels is way better compared to the outside, and that was because of huge amount of negative violence.
So the air quality inside the tunnels is better because of negative ions, says this tour guide. So these tunnels are have magic healing properties too. Oh my gosh, did somebody just drop a whole bunch of channel subs? Regios, you son of a gun. You rock. Who got one? Spooky got one. Ember got one. Ring got one. Mr. Jonathan Hudson the 7th got one. Aunt Jur. Al Trucker. Katina. Pac Beaz. Hope I said your last name right. Carol Kisner. Brian Stevens. Cool. I was going to say Bosnian tourism is something. Yeah, this is a big thing of Bosnian tourism, but because the amount of negative ions, these tunnels have magical healing properties.
In the tunnels, Lemia, our guide, shows us how, at the intersecting points between underground rivers, the ancient people who inhabited these tunnels had placed artificial stones. These stones served as very strange...
I don't think people inhabited these tunnels. I think these were medieval mines.
...function to mitigate the energy generated by crossing rivers.
So it is man-made.
Yes. This word here is actually a type of ceramic, and we call these structures mega ceramic blocks. This ceramic is a mixture of sandstone, melted clay, chips of quartz crystal, and water. Everything had to be combined together, shaped, and then...
It's sediment, okay. Apparently, the Nabateans were pioneers in the concrete department. Cool, I did not know that. I think I'm going to go ahead and end the poll, though. 75% people want merch. I can do that. I can make merch. Thank you for being honest, though. I don't want to make a whole bunch of merch if nobody's going to, if no one's going to buy it, if no one's interested. Eyebrows are overrated.
And baked are very high temperatures. Because to make ceramic like this, you need temperatures that are higher than 1,000 degrees. Every single one of the blocks that we also discover deeper in the tunnels is from the same material, but they are bigger and bigger as well. And as they are bigger and bigger, they are also made out of multiple pieces. You can notice that because of these smaller lines. For example, this block...
Okay, this is not a block. Why does she keep saying this is a block? That doesn't look like maybe a glacial radical.
...is made out of two pieces that have been glued together on the spot.
Glued.
Because we notice bigger and bigger...
That famous pyramid glue they had in the early Pleistocene, we lost the recipe for.
...blocks specifically put on very different locations and unique location. We predicted that they might have a function inside. With georadar scannings, we discovered that underneath every single one of these blocks is underground water stream. In this case, underground water stream is 21 meters underneath this block. It comes exactly from this direction, goes directly underneath it. And it's exactly the same width as this block as well. You may have heard that it's not good to build anything.
How do you know if it's 20 meters down how wide it is? I call BS. Where are you getting these readings from? These numbers
of underground water streams, because they produce something called geopathic irradiations. These are actually very low levels of frequency that can affect stability of the buildings. Cracks can form in the walls after some time, and they can also affect our health, especially if we're exposed to huge amount of geopathic radiation.
Geopathic radiation. Is this more woo? Geopathic. All right. Geopathic radiation can change surface tension, which can affect the human body. For example, it can affect the membrane process that creates serotonin, which regulates sleep. Geopathic stress can also affect animals and plants and can contribute to sick building syndrome. Interesting. Geopathic radiation has been shown to change the surface tension, and since humans are over 70% water, it changes the surface tension, greatly affects... where was I? Anyway, there's a paper on it. Let me drop a link here. Is this credible, though? It's just from the patent site. You can patent anything. It's alternative medicine, though. Here, you want to know what it's about? Let me pull it over. Of course, this guy's debunked Wikipedia many times, but geopathology is a theory that links the Earth's inherent radiation with the health of humans, animals, and plants. The term is derived from the Greek blah, 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 blah. The term is widely used. Adjectives. Geopathic stress. Geostress. Okay. Study in the Bavarian town of Vilsbiburg. Ley lines. Of course it's going to be associated with ley lines. I bet the Bosnian pyramids are associated with ley lines too. Geopathic stress. It is suggested that the Earth has natural vibrations, but features like underground watercourses, drainage pipes, underground tunnels, and even simple geological faults distort this vibration. Such distorted vibrations are held to rise upward through the Earth's surface and create a pernicious effect on the health and or behavior of all biological life. The distortions are amplified during night hours, and consequently the impact is greater if the focal point of the adverse radiation is a bedroom. Also noting that the subject during the time of sleep will be continually located in the path of such radiation. Nonsense!
For 1 years at time. Looks like ancient civilizations knew this very well, because here in the tunnels we discovered a big network of underground water stream, and what a coincidence, or is it not? Every single one of the blocks was put exactly on top of one of them. These blocks have very important function in the tunnels. They neutralize geopathic radiations, and we were able to discover how these blocks work. The main thing that's doing all the job here is the quartz crystal that's inside of these blocks, because crystals and minerals usually in science fall into category of piezoelectrics. These are structures that are in the same time positively and negatively charged on their ends, and they act like natural magnets. Piezoelectrics are sensitive to...
Magnets? What? We figured out how magnets worked? Dr. Tapp, are you there? Dr. Tapp, did you hear? She's explaining how magnets work. We finally have the answer. Yay! Celebrate.
To frequencies, so that whenever they hit them, they start to vibrate on micro level by themselves. This same reaction is happening with every single piece of quartz crystal that is inside of these blocks. Because this underground water stream is still active, is producing geopathic radiations, and they ship.
Jeff, are you talking about the one that says, "Did the gays win"? I watched that last night. It's pretty funny. Have the gays won with Tim Pool crying? Yeah, I couldn't resist that thumbnail.
Block that is on top of them. They hit all those pieces of quartz crystal that are inside. Quartz is constantly vibrating on micro level, and that's how it's neutralized.
So is she claiming there's like a quartz crystal inside this rock? Inside this, they're basically claiming it's a geode, that they're putting geodes on top of these springs.
I think there's geopathic. Behind me, you can see the intersection that is still broken. All the tunnels originally looked like this when we first found them. But I will explain everything in
Before you started digging them, you mean?
order. When civilization who was making this pyramidal complex decided to make it right here,
Robert, crystals will always be at the root. Yeah.
Slowly, they first started with tunnels because they needed material to make concrete blocks of the Pyramid of the Sun. So when they started making tunnels through this conglomerate, digging them through, all the excess conglomerate was taken out and it was used to make concrete blocks of the Pyramid of the Sun. And those concrete blocks are a mixture of conglomerate, melted clay, lime, and water. So that's how tunnels and Pyramid of the Sun, we know that they were made in the same period of time. And a few thousand years later, one civilization decided to close tunnels for unknown reason, and they did that by bringing tons and tons of rock material from riverbeds. Probably from local ones, but who knows?
Or they were just not there in the first place, or these were natural fissures and caves that were filled with sediment during the last glaciation. And now you're just excavating those out. I don't think there were actually tunnels here at all, except for maybe the gold mines, the medieval gold mines that they've got evidence existed in this region, and now these people are digging this stuff out. They're just making their own tunnels.
And they have brought this gravel inside, put it all the way to the top of these tunnels, but gravel is very soft material. It's just a mixture of sand and stones. So that's why after some time it compressed, and we always have this separation of material at every top of tunnel. You don't have to be an expert, but you can immediately notice arch of the tunnel, height, and almost width as well. So when we come to clean tunnel,
it's how the layers lay down, especially when they're laid down by glaciers.
Almost everything is easy for us. We just follow this closed material. We don't want to expand tunnels in.
I know, I'm always worried. I'm like, oh, I want to collect crystals. And I'm like, what if people think I'm like, woo-woo?
Height and width at all, and we don't make new tunnels. We just find the old ones. But what's helping us find tunnels easily is this structure right here called drywall. Drywall is made out of bigger rocks that are perfectly aligned on top of each other without any binder. And we keep finding this structure at every start and at every end of each tunnel, no matter which entrance it is. These drywalls were made to hold this pillar.
So they make fancy concrete, but then they're like, oh, but when it comes to building this wall, we're just going to stack up a bunch of round stone stuck into the dirt. And that's how we're going to do it on this side. Concrete for everything else, but these we're going to just stack stones in dirt.
Up material inside, and also to divide tunnels in sections when this civilization was closing them. So that's how we know that tunnels were closed manually. In this gravel, many times we found pieces of branches and wood, which is organic material. We sent it for radiocarbonic analysis, of course. And results showed us that all of those pieces were 5,000 years old. So that's how we discovered for how many years our tunnels closed.
Initially, when I saw that mold...
Yeah, and that's fine if those mines are that old. I'm kind of surprised. Well, no, not really, because there'd have been gold. They'd had to get in the gold somewhere. So... I'm not surprised that there's gold mines in Bosnia that are that old. I think the gold mines are supposed to be from the medieval era, though. I don't think they're actually 5,000 years old. But,
most tunnels are sealed I thought it was the flood that filled most passageways with gravel, but they were sealed not only with gravel but with rocks purposely put there by humans in the form of stone walls. Someone sealed these passageways and we don't know why. The only thing that the guide told us is that they found inscribed runes that shed some light on the mystery. Experts translated these runes.
You speak kitty cat, Sumami? You just go outside and summon them? You're like Catwoman.
And here's what they meant.
This structure right there was originally found on its face, and experts immediately knew that it's not the position that it needs to be in.
Paleo experts? Oh, it's been a long time since I heard the term paleo experts. No, Donnie coined that one.
And when we lifted it up, we noticed that on this side we have engraved symbols on surface. I will light you from different directions so that you can see the symbols of the land here. But we did a laser scanning of the surface, which discovered that here we have 25 symbols engraved. We sent this picture to many experts throughout the whole world in hopes that they would be able to recognize and translate the symbols that are here. You can pass. And experts said that 7 symbols perfectly align with 7 of these runic symbols. Runic symbols are around 2,000 to 3,000 years old, and when the expert was able to translate these 7 symbols, and this is what they say. The gate is closed. We are at the standstill. We have to fight and conquer until the cosmic gate is finally opened again. We don't know what this can mean. We can only try to...
You got all that from 7 runes? That's pretty wild. Seven characters, and you get that whole message about the gates and the cosmos and stuff. I didn't even know there was a rune for the cosmos. What's that all about? I know some of the runes, at least the Germanic runes, which are the root to the Norse runes as well. I know a bit about them, but I think that's just deformation and scratches on the rocks, right?
Of course, find out what's happening here in this world. But with more research, we discovered that here we have proto-runic symbols, which use the 4 runes. Because the runes are around 2,000 to 3,000 years old, we have proved that panels are closed for at least 5,000 years. Proto-runics and generally runic symbols are very hard to be translated, because one symbol by itself can mean 1 letter, 1 word, or even 1 full sentence. And then in combination of few of them, that can be few different translations. But just so you know, these are not only symbols that are discovered. With more cleaning, we found different symbols, hundreds of them, engraved on different surfaces, like stones, stone tools, and ceramics. So this is just another proof that these ancient civilizations who were in this area, they had...
So is this some History Channel BS about I was looking up proto-runes over here, sorry. Got just to distract, but... Because there's a few different... The oldest runic alphabet is the Futhark, which is Germanic. Here. The Elder Futhark, also known as the Older Futhark, the Old Futhark, or Germanic Futhark, is the oldest form of runic alphabet. It was a writing system used by Germanic people from Northwest Germanic dialect in the migration period. The inscriptions were found on artifacts including jewelry, amulets, plateware tools, weapons, as well as runestones in Scandinavia from the 2nd to the 10th century. In Scandinavia, beginning in the 8th century, the script was simplified to the younger Futhark, while the Anglo-Saxons and Frisians instead extended it, giving rise to the Anglo-Saxon Futhark. Both the Anglo-Saxon Futhark and the younger Futhark remained in use during the early and high Middle Ages respectively, but knowledge of how to read the Elder Futhark was forgotten until 1865, when it was deciphered by Norwegian scholar Sophus Bugge, I think is how you say that. If somebody knows how to say it differently, then tell me, but here's the distribution. You can see that they're pretty far from Bosnia, mostly northern Europe, whereas Bosnia's down way down south in southern Europe. I lost my shoe. Where'd it go? Ah. Oh. Anyway, yeah, back to the video. We're almost done.
Intelligence, advanced technology, and they also knew how to write, and they left us many messages.
I will certainly return when the path is clear and explore inside. After our short expedition, I can certainly say this is an artificially man-made structure and not a natural formation. The Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun fits all criteria to be ruled as a man-made pyramid, older than anything else humanity has found so far. I highly recommend visiting it if you're near the Balkans. If you are into ancient civilizations, have you heard about Iram? A mythical city nobody thought existed because
Yeah, we're not covering Iram today though. We're talking about the Bosnian pyramids. So, let's see. Some more about the tunnels. To complete this description of the tunnels, we may note that 3 particularly interesting points that have very recently indeed come to the forefront. The presence of dry stone wall obfuscations, some galleries. Sometimes these dry stone walls are merely aligned with the walls of the tunnels. In the flooded part of the tunnels, discovered in December 2010, the presence of straight central channel. Are these the runes? At any rate, these 3 elements provide confirmation, if any were needed, of human intervention in the Ravni tunnels, something about which I never had any doubt. See what I wrote in 2006. Those tunnels were, again, they were worked on, and they're tunnels, though. It's not a pyramid with halls built into it. They're actually tunnels bored into the side of the mountain. Some of them are natural, and some of them have been altered by people, and some of them have been used as gold mines. Well, it's not excluding the possibility that the KTK tunnel is largely of natural origins, therefore the Ravni tunnel, except perhaps for a few small natural cavities of a sort that can be found even within a weakly calcareous conglomerate, is definitely an artificial man-made network. The question is, when was it dug and for what purpose? And now the carnival of pseudoscience scientific interpretations really gets underway. As far as Mr. Osmanagic and his friends, such as his supporters or rivals in the SB research group, are concerned, there is no doubt that the Ravni tunnel is connected with the pyramid. This is certainly beyond all question. Even more than that, it is a prerequisite. Since 2005, Mr. Osmanagic has been claiming that there must be an underground complex, given that there are underground tunnels beneath the Pyramid of Giza and Teotihuacan? Is it Hushin? I guess Hushin. I'll say the Pyramid of the Sun. It necessarily follows that there must be a tunnel under the Pyramid of Bosnia. Therefore, any subterranean network discovered in the area must necessarily be part of such a complex. It is an assumption that forms the basis for the frequent utterance by Messenger Osmanagic and Debertolis about the length of the Ravni Tunnel being 3 kilometers, the distance from the hill of Visosika, even though no more than 300 meters of tunnel had so far come to light. The existence of claims for a pyramid tunnel link, although never actually substantiated, means that ever since 2006, the tunnel has regularly been cited as proof of the existence of the pyramids. Hence, the desperate need to obtain the oldest data possible for the tunnels. The earlier that date, the stronger the evidence. The later that date, the weaker osmogenic's theory. There have been several attempts at dating samples from the tunnel using either organic objects or supposedly organic, see that's discussion, or stalactites and stalagmites. These dates have yielded results with a wide variation that strains credulity, from 2,000 to 3,000 years to more than 30,000. Nothing, that's where they're getting the new date, though, by the way. It's that 30,000 when for so long they were doing 12,000. Now it's 30,000. Now they think it's 30,000 because it fits their narrative with the age of these tunnels and cave systems. Questionable Osmogenic uses these dates, questionable pinpoints in time, as the basis for constructing a customized chronology, bringing into play no fewer than 4 different civilizations. On over a 32,000-year-old, one over 32,000-year-old responsible for constructing the megaliths. The megaliths would have been located above underground streams, although at the time before the tunnels were in place, so presumably out in the open. A second, dating from between 32,000 to 5,000 years ago, that built the pyramids, excavated or constructed the tunnels. The assumption is therefore either that the conglomerates through which the tunnels were dug was deposited at some stage later than 30,000 years ago, according to the theory of Samir Osmangenic's father, Muris Osmangenic, and Samir Osmangenic himself, who believes that this second civilization is certainly much less than 32,000 years, because the time was needed for conglomerates to form from the flood and conglomerate sedimentation, or the theory favored by Professor Debertolis, that the tunnel was built from scratch using an artificial conglomerate and then covered with 20 meters of sediments. Then we have a third civilization that would be required for this all to be true. That third civilization was going to date from before 1000 BC, who used a huge amount of material to close the tunnels off and also cleaned it, which would explain the complete absence of artifacts. So they would have had to loot the whole thing out, cleared it all out, and then sealed it up. And the last civilization, the only one that Mr. Osmangenic slots into traditional chronology, as he conceives that there could have been an occupation of the tunnels for a time during the Neolithic, somewhere between 3,000 and 4,000 BP. Debatable datations. This we're not going to go through all this, but there's a lot to unravel here to basically debunk all this. I'm not going to read the whole thing because it's long. He goes into a lot of detail about all the BS that they're trying to spin and debunks it all. I read this over pretty good. There's the map of what Steph was talking about in the side chat there. And multiple people have blogged this thing into the ground, debunking it from every possible angle you can think of. Got Dr. Robert M. Scotch, research highlighting the so-called Bosnian Pyramid from Boston University. So he's given it his once-over, breaking it down. Does point out that, hey, there's a industry here that they're probably not likely to give up easily about the Pyramid of the Sun, right? Selling pyramid artifacts and claiming the pyramids that are real, and yeah. The danger of pyramid mania. Discusses the current Bosnian pyramid mania and the ramifications, but there is one aspect he did not mention: the loss of important paleontological resources. Right, we let these people start carving into a mountainside or hill, or ancient tunnels and mines to build a fake pyramid. The whole time they're doing that, they're destroying actual artifacts. Is there a way to remember the difference between a stalactite and a stalagmite? I can never remember which ones are built up and which ones go down. Stalactites are tight to the ceiling so they don't fall. Stalagmites might reach the ceiling, but yeah, that's what I always did it. Stalactites go down, tights go down, and the way I always remembered it says spooky bed here. Tights high, mites low. Just woke up and I'm here. Are you woke though? Are you woke moralist out there? You know, tights high, might low is probably gonna stick with me. Thanks, Stephanie. You can use cool from the mites. Yeah. All right. So yeah, that's the real problem. And then they're talking about fossils. Presently, the fossils are being ignored and destroyed through excavation. Late Miocene fossils. The Pyramid Hills are composed of late Miocene, lacustrine, and fluvial deposits. Certain strata are highly fossiliferous, containing a variety of thus far undocumented angiosperm leaves and other plant remains, as well as animal trace fossils. I believe this area merits serious paleontological study. On the basis of sedimentology, the hills could yield scientifically valuable terrestrial vertebrate specimens. Presently, the fossils are being ignored and destroyed during the excavation as crew works to shape the natural hill into the crude semblance of a Mayan-style step pyramid, with which osmogenic is so enamored. Yep, and then you have the professionals writing up about it too. Yeah, I got more blogs. That's the map we were just looking at. Yeah, this is the guy who did the videos. This is his Reddit post about it, so we can see the claims here. Talking about trying to claim that these pyramids were buried too. Got our tunnels, you know. All right, and you know, a group of Bosnian hills that might contain the world's greatest pyramid, or the greatest pyramid scheme. Yeah. Little blurb about that. More talking about his, this is from Discover Magazine. This is the one they talk about him basically being a showman. The use of pseudoscience is a classic feature of the New Age, he says, and New Agers prefer to have the appearance of making decisions based on empirical evidence, like scientists. The Damanhur movement began small with a large variation in the ideas and voices, he says, but it quickly grew and became more unified. After growing large enough to attract media attention, such organizations generally reach a critical juncture that leads either to extinction or further growth. Another author writing about it, or is this the same guy? that guy's the same guy. So these two talking about it now in this blog. You can see where they're excavating the Pyramid of the Moon. Notice that approximately 2 meters deep clay layer on the right top, another small stone terrace. Skok accused the foundation of trying to make the excavation look like a step pyramid. Oh, is this a response? Is this... Okay, this guy's responding to the blog that we just looked at. All right, and this guy, Dr. Sam, is on Twitter, so you can actually go out here and read his feed. He still puts out stuff, not regularly, but you know, every couple of months he'll put something together. All right, I'm talking about the tourist draw of this pyramid scheme. The Guardian wrote about it. And yeah, pretty much this has been so thoroughly debunked by the archaeological community. I can't believe that they're still funding it. The Bosnian government's still funding this because they want to have this ancient heritage, right? They want to say, yes, we are a descendant from this ancient civilization that once ruled the earth. But don't we all, I suppose? You know. Anyway, what do you think? Was the Bosnian pyramid a real phenomenon? Is it, or is it a hill with maybe some old tunnels and stuff built into it? What do you think? Tell me in the comments down below. Please remember to be kind, take care, and we will see you next time. All right, don't go anywhere live from the Hive audience, though, okay? Because we got more show coming. More show coming at you. Things are going to get crabby here in just a minute. So I will see you guys. I will see you guys over here in Eco News.
This legend raises a lovely problem. How does it come about that the face of a warrior is cut on the carapace of a Japanese crab? How could it be? The answer seems to be that humans made this face. But how? Like many other features, the patterns on the back or carapace of this crab are inherited. But among crabs, as among humans, there are many different hereditary lines. Now, suppose purely by chance, among the distant ancestors of this crab, there came to be one which looked just a little bit like a human face. Long before the battle, fishermen may have been reluctant to eat a crab with a human face. In throwing it back into the sea, they were setting into motion a process of selection. If you're a crab, and your carapace is just ordinary, the humans are going to eat you. But if it looks a little bit like a face, they'll throw you back, and you'll be able to have lots of nice little baby crabs that all look just like you. As many generations passed of crabs and fisher folk alike, the crabs with patterns that look most like a samurai face preferentially survived. Until eventually, there was produced not just a human face, not just a Japanese face, but the face of a samurai warrior. All this has nothing to do with what the crabs might want. Selection is imposed from the outside. The more you look like a samurai, the better your chances of survival. Eventually, there are a lot of crabs that look like samurai warriors.
Hello, my beauties and bees, and welcome to another episode of Eco News. I am your host, Miss Bumblebee, and today I want to talk just for a moment about hermit crabs. So hermit crabs are not actually crabs, first of all. They're not like crabs. They're inomurans, which are a closely related group of arthropods, but not really. They just kind of follow the same become crab body plan that all arthropods seem to go through as they evolve. So the thing about inomurans, though, is that they've evolved for this specialized niche where they actually where they scavenge dead mollusk shells, like shells that are made mollusk, snails and stuff. They create shells with calcite, right? And the hermit crabs scavenge those. And that's what they've done for millions of years, for hundreds of millions of years, in fact. But in today's atmosphere, in today's climate, they're just finding new and interesting ways to accommodate. Hermit crabs around the world turn to plastic trash to use as shells. Plastic-shelled hermit crabs are becoming an increasingly common sight. Reminds me of that on the Labyrinth, that little old lady thing that carried all the junk on her back. Plastic shells have become a fashion trend for hermit crabs across the world. In a new study, scientists have looked into how often hermit crabs are using plastic and other human-made materials as their shells, concluding that it is likely to be a global problem across many different species. Researchers at the University of Warsaw in Poland analyzed nearly 29,000 images of hermit crabs that had been uploaded to online platforms such as iNaturalist by wildlife enthusiasts. They identified 386 crabs that had co-opted artificial shells as their homes. The most common human-made materials was plastic caps, like the ones used to find on a soda bottle, which accounted for up to 85% of the artificial shells. All in all, they estimated that the problem impacts at least 10 of 16 terrestrial species of hermit crabs found across the tropical regions of the planet. When I first saw these pictures, I felt it was heartbreaking. Professor Martha Zolkins, study author from the Institute of Evolutionary Biology at the University of Warsaw, told BBC 4 Radio. There's one with a broken light bulb in. Got like a glue bottle cap. That's a bottle cap. Examples of plastic shells. Yeah, well, this one looks metal. This one's metal too. Why are they showing metal shells and saying they're examples of plastic shells, I wonder? At the same time, we think we really need to understand the fact that we are living in a different era and animals are making use of what's available to them, she added. Hermit crabs have a soft abdomen with an exoskeleton that needs protection. To save on energy intensive process of growing their own shell, they've simply hijacked the disused shells left behind by dead crustaceans and dead mollusks. However, with the world's ocean becoming increasingly polluted with plastic, it appears many hermit crabs are increasingly tempted to use trash as their shelters. The new study looked into why hermit crabs are ditching their typically natural shells in favor of artificial alternatives and concluded that it likely hinges on a few different things. Sexual selection is a likely factor because females may be attracted to novelty of plastic shells. Plastics are also generally lighter than chitin shells, which makes them more practical choice. Additionally, hermit crabs may be choosing plastic shells as it helps them camouflage in a polluted environment. Isn't that so sad, though? It is not clear if the plastic shells are impacting the well-being of the hermit crabs or whether it is benign consequence of living in the Anthropocene. In a follow-up study, the team hopes to uncover whether this new behavior is affecting the evolution of hermit crabs. These analysis will deepen our understanding of the consequences of plastic pollution in the marine ecosystem, as well as evolution of species in the context of new evolutionary pressures associated with the Anthropocene. The researcher said in a statement, hermit crabs aren't alone in this plastic plight. In recent times, scientists have documented a myriad of ways that the natural world is being changed by the ever-growing presence of plastic, from turtles' bellies filled with artificial netting to ants becoming entangled in synthesized fibers. In one particularly jarring example, geologists have recently discovered plastic rocks on a remote volcanic island and off the Brazilian coast. Today's study was published in the Science of the Total Environment. I think this is probably just going to be a short video. Let's see if we can. So, of all those choices, he picked the plastic piece. Or is he going to switch it out for this perfect shell? There you go. That's much better. You look much more comfortable. Your body's adapted for that shape. You can't even hide in this one. Don't you feel? I guess it's probably lighter, but cool beans. I'm glad you found one you liked. Super cute. Yeah. Anyway, that was a little bit of eco news for us there. The plight of the hermit crab, the Anthropocene's well underway. I got one little thing at the end I'm going to do here for Paleo Peak, and then we'll probably be done. Thank you for sticking around with me. Please remember to be kind. Take care. We'll see you next time. Mwah. All right, so I'm going to do just a quick one last intermission, and then we got just a short piece of Paleo Peak, and we're going to be on our way. All right, hello, and welcome to a very peculiar little episode of Paleo Peak. Usually, when I talk about Paleo Peak, I'm talking about a species of fossil animal that we've discovered, or a formation with multiple species, or sometimes I'll talk about like ecology. But I'm talking about today an entire coastline. This popped up on my feed. I'd seen this years ago, but I thought you guys might like, if you hadn't seen it before, might like to know about it. This is how the coastline from 100 million years ago influenced the modern election results in Alabama. This is from 2020 election results. This was published in 11/6 of 2021. So, if you, like me, enjoy looking at maps, I do. I'm a big map nerd. I love real maps, fake maps, fantasy maps, star maps, gene maps. You might sometimes wonder why a map looks the way it does. The events leading to certain demographics being more common here on the border being drawn there can often be very complex and fascinating. Here I've gathered 6 maps of the U.S. state of Alabama. Together, these maps tell a story that links a coastline from the time of dinosaurs to modern political demographics via one of the darkest periods in American history. So here's our maps. We're going to go back up and look at each one as we go through this. Okay, map 1 shows the Cretaceous sediment of Alabama. These sediments are rocks and minerals laid down along swampy southern coast of the continent Appalachia, which existed around 100 million years ago. North America had not yet formed at this time. So this was the southern coast of Appalachia, right, before all this was above sea level. Okay. Map 2 shows the location of the Blackland Prairie soil. The soil is known for its high fertility as the result of the nutrients deposits during the Cretaceous period. So this coastline created this Blackland Prairie soil, which is really rich through here. And it goes on into Mississippi, of course, on that side. But yeah, Mississippi, and I think, does it go on into Louisiana too? I think it might. Anyway, map 3 shows us modern farm size in Alabama. The largest farms, shown in red, can be found in the area with the most fertile soil. This shows us how economically important the prairie soil is. So, yeah, the rich people in red, or not rich farmlands in red, like huge plantations and stuff in this area. Map 4 shows the slave populations according to the 1860 census. At that time, enslaved people accounted for 45% of the state's population. Only 3% of the state population was made up of free black citizens. In the darkest region of the map, enslaved people account for over 80% of the population. Enslaved people mainly worked on cotton plantations, and these plantations were most common in the area with the most fertile soil. So look in there, the darkest area is 80% of the population. So this area over here, is very, very dark. Then you get to map 5, shows us the modern black population of Alabama. The darkest red areas show more than 44% of the population of the region is black. Despite the 150 years between these maps, these are still close correlation between the historic slave population and the modern black population. It's this map and this map right here, right? So we're still with it. And finally, map 6 shows us the results of the 2020 election, where the large black population are much more likely to vote for the Democratic Party, shown in blue. This trend continues to the east and west of Alabama along the so-called Black Belt of the southern United States and along the buried coastline of the Cretaceous continent of Appalachia. When we look at maps and data about the modern world, it's easy to forget that everything about our world has been dictated and shaped by the events of history and prehistory, from ancient continents to terrible atrocities. Our world is a product of its past, and understanding that past can be key to helping us better understand the present. And this was written by Starkey, who is also credited on the comic. I did share this on all of my socials, so if you like it, that's cool. You can go out there. I'm going to go ahead and share a link to this if it'll let me. It looks like it might be a long link. Yeah, it'll let me. Good. Yeah, there's a link to the comic. Yeah, this map thread is pretty awesome. I don't know if you've seen it before or not, but let's see. The last one is freaky looking, you know. Scary how all red that is, isn't it? I don't know what we're going to do with these people. Yeah, I hope that last one was a video edit, not how it really looks. I feel like the whole history is pretty dark, yeah. But let's look at that blackened prairie soil, though, they call the Black Belt, as it extends to the rest of the southern states, just out of curiosity. There we go. Yeah, because it extends further than you get a bigger version of this. Maybe. I guess I can zoom in. It's going to be kind of blurry, but yeah, this is the belt that it's talking about there. Right across the middle of Alabama is where we were, but it goes all the way up to the Chesapeake and all the way down to East Texas. So it's pretty extensive. And it covers a lot of, like, some of these southern states. It covers a lot of them. It covers almost all of Mississippi, almost all of Alabama, almost all of Georgia, and huge territory of Louisiana, almost all of the Virginia, and North Carolina. South Carolina, not so much. I guess South Carolina's got as much as Alabama, maybe. Anyway, yeah, interesting. So, that black dirt gets humid as hell. I bet it does. But it grows stuff good, though. All right. Well, thank you so much for sticking with me through today's episode of Live from the Hive. I hope you enjoyed learning some stuff. We had from some Australian tigers, and then we had some Bosnian pyramids. Then we had some hermit crabs trading their shells for plastic, and broke it up with in here with some exploration about ancient continents and how they affect the world even today. If you have any questions, any commentary, or you feel like there was something I was wrong about, let me know in the comments down below. Please remember to be kind. Take care. We'll see you next time. You can actually leave this time.